Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I hope you're all well and I hope you can all hear me. How are you all today? I would like to start off today with talking and thanking you all for coming. Jazakallah khair for being here. And I know that some of you will be like, why is she doing it again? Because the thing is that I would really like to share my expertise on homeschooling and teaching your children. By the way, I'm just putting the link in all of the WhatsApp groups while I'm talking to you. This is multitasking. So you might be wondering why I'm doing the same webinar again for the second day, right? And one of the main reasons is that when you're live, you can ask me questions. Right now, what is it going to be like? What are you going to teach us? How are you going to help us? And so on. So please feel free to ask me as many questions as you want, because the point of this is to help you understand what homeschool is and what homeschool is not. As you can see by my first slide here, okay, homeschool is not remote learning, because a lot of the time when I say to people, why don't you just homeschool your child? They're like, no, I can't do that. I can't deal with that. Have my child at home all day long. No. There was too much work to do. I never got the work done. We don't have enough devices. There's so many things that people think about, right? Okay, so first of all, you don't need a device per child, right? So you can throw that one out the window, okay? You don't need to homeschool on devices. You don't need to homeschool in any other way than something that actually feels natural to you. So the reason that I wanted to share all of this today was because I have a lot of questions. A lot of the time, sisters come to me and they say, I want to homeschool my child because of the UK agenda at the moment, or the US, or wherever we are, especially in the West. They're trying to push some certain agendas towards us, and we want to protect our children from it for the most part. Okay. This early on sharing extra information with the kids that they don't really need to know about at a young age is one of the reasons why I am really for homeschooling as well. But I didn't start homeschooling because of that, but I will definitely share that with you later on. So I'm sure that for most of you, this is not your first webinar on homeschooling or finding out about home education and homeschool. So I do want you to understand that remote learning was unplanned, unheard of, unprecedented. It never happened before March 2020. So it's not a fair reflection on what homeschool actually is. Okay, so that's the first thing that I probably want to say to you. And I love this meme about that, because clearly since COVID, we don't get snow days anymore in the UK, or we don't even get rain days here. We used to get a day off for rain. Can you imagine? Okay, so when you learn how to home educate like a pro, you're going to be able to teach your children without a fight. I'm going to show you how to teach your kids without expensive resources, how to teach your kids without that big budget, without a huge house, without even a co-parent. If you're single, you can still homeschool, okay? Without your own space. If you're living with a family, maybe if you've got in-laws and you're staying together and you still want to homeschool, maybe you can. While you're here, why don't you introduce yourself? It's an interactive chat. Put your name in the chat for me, say salam to me, and say hello if you're not Muslim and you're watching this. And just let me know what other kind of problems that you might think that you would face when you're homeschooling. Yesterday when I did this, people were saying, what about what other people think? And we will talk about that later on. Okay, so another concern is, will they get a job? So first of all, I want to talk about this one, because curriculum versus qualifications. So there are actually a lot of homeschooled children that have grown up and they haven't got a job, but what they have got is their own amazing companies. Wa alaikum salam, Aini. Thank you so much for joining me. And they actually own their own companies. People like Alan Sugar left school without GCSEs, Richard Branson, right? Okay, you might remember these kind of people as the ones who couldn't concentrate at school, who were always looking around and not concentrating and not interested in what the teacher's saying, but they had so many ideas, right? Walaikum salam, Kate. Nice to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. And so there might be all of these kids that you might get at school which are always or constantly in trouble because they can't concentrate and they don't really fit into. No problem, that's fine, sister. Okay, so they don't really fit into the round holes that every single student at school fits into, right? Okay, and they're what we call a square peg in a round hole, right? Okay, and you might find that, you know, you're always called. The teachers keep calling you because they need a robot. They need someone that follows the rules and doesn't disrupt and doesn't try asking different questions, right? So they want to kill sometimes the curiosity of the child, not on purpose, but it happens because if a child keeps asking a question and they don't get an answer, they'll stop asking. And that is really sad, to be honest with you. Okay, so if you've been concerned in the past that you can't homeschool because of any of these problems that we've just talked about, I just want to put your mind at rest because you can do this, but you just need the right person to explain it to you. And who's the right person? Clearly, it's me. Hello, I'm the right person. Inshallah, I'm a homeschool coach. I'm sorry, I said I'm a homeschool coach. I'm a parent coach and I'm a teacher, inshallah. And I really enjoy helping parents. And I just had a really lovely voice message from a sister, and that's the reason why I was a little bit late today, because I was listening to her. She was worried about her son. Her son had not been able to complete his A levels, and she'd been really worried about him for a while. And we'd been back and forth, and I was trying to calm her down and say, it's okay, inshallah, you know, don't worry, the plans are written and so on. And this morning she actually sent me a really thankful message. And I was thinking to myself, like, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. Because you guys, if you need the help, I'm here to help you. I know it's not easy to homeschool your children. You're going to be at home with them all day, and you might be thinking, oh my God, how can I look after them? How can I keep them occupied? How can I make sure that they progress? How can I make sure that they're actually learning something? So you're probably thinking about all of these questions. So I want to answer some of those questions today. And like I said, please do pop your comments in the chat there for me. Okay, I apologize if I sound like I can't really speak today. I've just got a little bit of a knee pain that's been there for a little while. Walaikum salam, Rahima, welcome. I think I've been talking to you on WhatsApp, so if it's the same person, welcome from Kenya. Okay, so at the moment, the school agenda is skewed towards the government, right? Okay, 1 minute, their agenda, okay? If you've struggled with a child that doesn't fit the mold, then you're going to be really familiar with what I was talking about earlier. You'll get the phone calls home, they might get excluded, they might have detentions, the teachers don't like your child is always in trouble, you're forced to make them behave, to make them comply. And there'll be really draconian measures for missing school. Now, if a child's not enjoying school, they're going to start to become anxious. They won't want to go to school, right? They don't want to go. So they'll keep on complaining, I don't want to go to school. The teacher's like this, the kids are like this is what happens, and so on, right? As long as you know that there is another option, right? And it's not that difficult as you think it is. Maybe some of you think that you need a degree, or you need to be a teacher, or you need a huge budget, or you need a fancy car. I'm here to tell you that you don't. You might need a fancy car, but you don't need, you might want a fancy car, but you don't need it for sure. I want a fancy car myself. Okay, so if you want to teach your children your way, then you're in the right place. Because if you have a dream and you want to make an impact in this world, then I can show you how. One of the other concerns is, what about their socialization? This is a really common concern, right? But, well, what about socializing? Can they socialize? Right? So I looked up the meaning of the word socialization because I was interested in this, because on most of the home education groups I'm on, that's one of the first concerns, right? Will they socialize? And the short answer is yes, they will. But let's have a look at what it says. So it says, make someone behave in a way that is acceptable to their society, participate in social activities, or mix socially with others, right? So the first definition there actually concerned me a little bit. Make someone behave. Do you really think you can make someone behave in a certain way? Have you ever tried to make your children behave a certain way? Okay, so it just comes back to that whole kind of what we said was their agenda. Excuse me, I don't know what happened there. Comes back to that whole agenda, right? Can you make someone behave in a certain way? And is that fair to make them behave in a certain way? Now, obviously, we do have cultural norms, we have social norms, we have religious norms, we have the norms, okay? And most of the people do behave within that framework or those guidelines, right? But what if there are kids that don't want to talk to everybody, right? A lot of the time you hear in classrooms, you might not like everybody, but you've got to talk to everybody. Okay, when you're an adult, you can do that because you've chosen to be in that environment. So for example, people say, yeah, but when you're working, you're going to have to communicate, you're going to have to talk. Well, yeah, that's true. And you do learn how to communicate, of course you do, and get on with people that you don't get on with. But in a school environment, it's kind of forced, whereas in a work environment, it's more of a choice. Because if you really don't get on with someone, you can leave. And later on, when I talk about my story about getting into homeschool, I'll talk about that. So my goal for this, I think I've messed up my slides today a little bit, but anyway, it's okay. So my goal for this presentation is to help both two types of people. Okay, so both those that are at the beginning stages of homeschool, because I want to give you a bit of an overview of what it is and what it isn't. And for those of you that already homeschool, if you carry on listening towards the end, I'm going to be giving you a couple of tips on some key things that you can implement into your school day, and some easy things that you can implement into your school day even today or tomorrow if you want. And for those of you that have never homeschooled before, maybe you just want to get an idea of what it's all about and whether you can do it or not. Okay. The slide is not clear. It just says, what is our goal today? Could you maybe just check your internet connection? Because I've kept the words really big so that you can see them much more easily, sister. Welcome to the session, Mrs. Cameron. Okay, so school or home education, right? Okay, so a lot of the time when people think about home education, they're thinking it's a school education at home, right? So we call it home education rather than home school because there's a difference in working on schedules or routines, right? Okay, so at school, everything has to go in a timetable. They've got phonics in the morning, then they've got maths, then they've got science, then they got topic, for example, whatever. The lunch time's at a certain time, the toilet breaks are at a certain time, even in for little kids like year 7 and not year 7, sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about, reception, or year 1 kids, right? When they're at school, they kind of even put them on a toilet schedule. Imagine, right? Okay, so they're really strict on the timings. Now at home, you can still have a routine. You can still do something first and second and third. In the morning, you might want to get together with the kids and do a nice little breakfast together, all of you. You might want to wake up like, say, 9 or 10 o'clock rather than 6 o'clock in the morning, or as I call it, stupid o'clock in the morning. Right, to get ready and go to school. Clearly we wake up and pray and stuff, but obviously you can go back to bed and have a little lie-in like every day if you homeschool. Okay, so you can have a routine that works for you and your children. So you can still do the same thing every day, but you can have a different time of the day. You can attach those routines to something that you're going to do anyway, like when you pray Salah, you can attach the Quran lesson to that. When you have breakfast, you can do your morning routine with breakfast, where you talk about the weather today and what's going on and how they feel and so on, right? So you can have your own routines. So that goes to the next sentence, which is rigid versus flexible. So again, with a home school, you would be quite rigid. You'd be like, no, this is the time that we're working, but Mom, I feel really tired right now. It doesn't matter. You're going to go to school, right? Okay. But Mom, I don't want to go to school. I'm exhausted. I haven't had enough sleep last night, or whatever, right? The child could be like that in the morning. And maybe some of you struggle with them in the morning, trying to wake them up, get them ready, get them dressed. Okay. Hafsa, my 5-year-old. So just to let you all know, I have homeschooled my children for a couple of years, and then I've sent them now to a community school, but I am going to bring them back out. I just needed a bit of a break. And again, that's absolutely fine. It's what works for you and your family at the time that you want to do it. But when they come home, we still continue with our home ed work, because I really feel that it's important that I teach them myself. But Hafsa was getting really tired, especially during Ramadan. So she kind of got into this habit of waking up. So when we go to pray, she'll wake up in the morning with us and we'll be like, go back to sleep. It's, you've still got an hour to go to school. And she'll put a uniform on and then get back into bed, because she just really gets stressed out sometimes in the morning with getting ready, right? It's that rigidity that is difficult for the kids to understand. But overall, as long as you are consistent with your education and consistent with the way that you're teaching, right, you'll find that your children will make fantastic progress, inshallah. So, sorry, I pressed the wrong way. Okay, so is homeschooling about learning or is it about teaching, right? So again, you can think about school as teaching. They've got a program and they teach and they tell the kids blah, 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 blah. And it's all about their objectives and what they need to do. Okay. When you're doing homeschool, you're focusing on the child's learning. So they might not know their timetables when they're 7 years old, and that's okay. You just keep on practicing with them. They might be able to read at the age of 5, and that's fantastic. They might not be able to read at the age of 5, and that's okay. You always go with the child and their progression. As long as over the year you can see that they've made some progress, that's learning, right? Teaching is kind of what they do at schools is, right, when they're going to come into year 1, they should be able to read. If they can't read, okay, you guys are sitting in that corner and you're on the low ability, right? My child, when she went to school, Hafsa, the one that I was talking about, really struggled. And this is why, another reason why I need to take her out soon, is because she's been put on a low ability table, right? So the table has got kids on there that can't read or write. However, her understanding is way beyond anyone else's on the table, or even, let's say, in the class. She can understand the teacher whenever he talks, understands his jokes even. She knows how to communicate with adults. She understands the questions. The only thing is she can't read, because for me, I didn't think that it was important at that stage of her starting to read. So I've had to accelerate her reading. Now, mashallah, it's fantastic. She's been working on that. However, it's teaching, right? It wasn't going with her pace. With Suleiman, I didn't teach him how to read until he was 7, like formally sit down and start teaching him. He learnt within 6 weeks. It didn't take him long to learn how to read, because we've been doing a lot of reading aloud with him. And he was about seven and a half, right, when he learned how to read. By the time he was 8 and he got tested at the school that I put him in, he was reading above his grade level. I think it was 9.3 or something like that, right? So the thing is, it's not about when you teach them, it's about their progress and how they will learn. And when you homeschool them, you can go with your own program. You can look at all the different things that are successful in other places and replicate them. So I was going with the don't formally teach them Steiner method. It's the method that the kids in Finland use, and so on. And I was going with real life examples. And like I said, with Hafsa, she's fantastic. She understands, she knows what's going on, but they put her on a low ability table with kids that can't even really speak English that well. So she struggled, right? Okay, we talked about the socializing aspect, what it is and what it isn't. And most people are worried about whether they're going to socialize. And they will, inshallah. They're going to socialize at their level. They're going to find friends that have the same interests as them. Okay, one of my favorite stories about socializing is we were shopping, me and my daughters, in the city in London. And obviously, I've taken all my kids together, because that's what you do when you are a home educator. You take everyone together. And my son had sat down on a bench, and he, I don't take out iPads and things like that when we're going out shopping, because obviously we're doing stuff, right? So we're learning, we're looking at the prices of things, and they're adding things up. They're looking at something that's cheaper or more expensive, or they'll say to me, what's my budget? And I'll give them a budget, and so on, right? Or they'll be helping their sisters. Can you find me a blue t-shirt, for example, right? Okay, so you can do lots of things. Now, my son had sat down, this is in Primark in Oxford Street, and he sat down on one of those benches that they have for where the blokes can go and sit down. And to be honest with you, I was kind of tired that day myself, and I sat down with him. And there was a boy that came, and he had his, I think it was a Switch or a Nintendo. It's something that you hold in your hand, a game. In the olden days, they were called Game Boys, but I'm pretty sure it was a Switch. Anyway, the boy had it in his hand, and he sat down next to Suleiman, and Suleiman kind of looks over to him, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's playing a game, all right. And then after a couple of minutes, Suleiman goes, oh, you can do this in this game. That's a good trick. And then he starts talking, and he just starts randomly talking to the boy. Now, listen, guys, this is Suleiman. Suleiman is one of my anxious kids. You've all heard me talk about him before, right? Okay, he's anxious. He suffers from anxiety. He doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to a lot of strangers, right? But in this case, if you notice, he had a lingua franca, which is a common language. That is the language of computers and games, right? Okay, so he was able to communicate with this boy, and he didn't feel awkward. He didn't feel anxious. He didn't feel shy, right? And he's been in school for like almost a year, and I think he's probably got like 3 or 4 like friends, and one of them's a girl that all of my kids tease him about. But like the thing is that he's made about 3 or 4 friends. So just imagine a person like that just sitting in public and having a good conversation, right? To me, that's socializing, right? Okay, that's socializing. Okay, only said yes, I know. Was that in reply to Umbreen? Okay, so Umbreen said, I want to do homeschooling, but in my family they don't have this concept, and I'm worried I won't be able to do it. That's okay. It's normal to feel like you can't do it. It's absolutely normal. I mean, when you first had your babies, Did you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? Oh my God, how did I have this baby and bring this baby home and I have to deal with this baby now, right? Okay, you kind of get a bit scared, but you know that you've seen lots of people around you do it. So it helps you to understand that, inshallah, I will be able to do it. And a lot of the time when you have a brand new newborn baby, it's really scary. I was looking at a picture of my mother-in-law holding my newest nephew. He's about 3 weeks now, but the picture that I was looking at was when he was like a couple of days old. He'd just come home from the hospital, and I saw her just cradling him like this with one arm, and I was like, oh my God. And I pulled out the picture of her with Miriam, and Miriam must have still been around at least a month old in this picture, about a month or maybe 3 weeks, but she still looked really nervous holding her. And Miriam's the eldest grandchild, and obviously this one's the newest, the youngest, right? Mashallah. And I was just saying to my husband, like, oh my God, look at the difference. Like, look at the confidence, right? Now, my mother-in-law's had 2 kids of her own, right? But there was a huge gap, right? My brother-in-law was like 20 something when I had Miriam. So there was a huge gap. So for her to get used to babies again, it was hard. It wasn't easy even for her. And I was expecting her, I was like, come on, help me bath the baby. And she was just like, yeah, I'll just pass you the water. Like seriously, I felt like I had more experience, right? So, and just using that example to try and explain to you that it is sometimes different for different people. Sometimes you want to do homeschooling, but people don't understand, or people find it new. But it's okay, because you're going to learn how to do it. You're going to be so professional at it that they're going to be like, whoa, I'm going to homeschool my kids as well. And that's literally what happened to me. I saw people around me homeschooling and I thought, wow, they're doing such a good job. Their kids are turning out to be so well-rounded. Maybe I want to get into that. Maybe I want to learn about that, right? Okay. One of the things that I absolutely love about homeschooling is that it feels free, right? Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to school and seen those little cliques of ladies at the school gates. Yeah, they're in a little clique, right? And it's like, if you're not in that clique, you're just not in there, right? Sometimes when I was taking Miriam or Aisha to school, my older girls, I used to feel awkward and like, oh my God, like, should I go up to them and say hi? Should I not? Are they going to be like this? Are they going to be that? And it starts bringing anxiety for me, never mind the kids, right? Okay, my daughter got bullied at school. My 2 of my kids, like I just mentioned, Suleiman and Aisha, are anxious children. They suffer from anxiety. They don't want to talk in a what's it called, in a group, in a big group, right? The schedules are really rigid. What about the trips that they have at school, right? This is a huge one, because they'll say, right, everyone, we're going to have a trip to France. Okay, so first of all, our kids, again, you're Muslim, you don't want to send your kids out with a lot of random people to another complete other country, right? But there's peer pressure. The kids are like, but I want to go, my friends are going, I want to go, right? So they have this thing, and you're like, okay, and then you find out how much the cost is, and then you calculate it, and you're like, mate, I could buy an iPad for this much for one child going on this trip. That was just 2 nights of camping in the desert in UAE. And I ended up doing just that. I bought my daughter an iPad. I said, here you go, you're getting your own iPad. You're not going on this trip, right? Another trip that was given was crazy amounts that I calculated the entire family to go to England on that money, right? So you got to think about things like the schools there's so many kids, and the schools have got such a huge range that your children are constantly going to compare, right? Okay, there will be peer pressure at school, right? So why did I decide to show you this slide in particular? Okay, it's one of my favorite slides of this presentation, to be honest with you, because if you guys know about Love Learning, then you know that this is my logo, but it kind of looks like my logo, but it's not exactly my logo, right? Okay, so this is kind of a picture to help you understand what homeschool is or home education is, right? Okay, how to educate your children. It's educating, but not in the way that you think about it, right? And I wanted to share this picture for another reason, right? Because it's a different version of my logo, which looks like it. You can recognize it. You can see the owl, you can see the iPad, but it's not exactly the version of homeschool that that you might have imagined. Sorry, it's not the version of school that you might have imagined. So what you can do is reimagine. You can decide how your school's going to be. And you know, these educational trips that they go on, you can go on them with your children, and it'll cost you probably less to take your entire family camping than it would to send one child on a camping trip, right? And while they're with you, they're going to learn so many things. And you can do things in the backyard to prepare for the camping trip. You can get them to learn how to make a fire. You can learn how to make dens. You can go on YouTube while you're preparing for your family trip and figure out, okay, how do people do it? What do they need? Okay, maybe you want to get some, you want to make like a little survival pack for them and send them orienteering and just say, here you go, guys, here's a compass, and go, I'm going to drop you here and you find your way back to the campsite. You can do so many things with camping and homeschooling, but it's not exactly like, let's go to school and learn how to do directions or whatever with a map, with a picture. You could actually be out there in the outdoors. And that's why I wanted to share this picture. I also wanted to share it because my son made this for me while he was being homeschooled. Okay. He knows how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what he did there, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure what he did and how he did it, right? Okay, I don't have to know every single procedure or every single method. They can actually start teaching themselves. And one of the amazing things that you can do is to allow them to learn by themselves and to really stretch themselves and to really basically use what they're interested in and develop that. So he was interested in this. I've taught him on a app called Canva, and he then, took it to the next level. I was surprised when he came back with this. It was amazing. I was so happy with it, right? So when we do the Homemade Like a Pro course, I'm going to go through how you can teach your children without a fight. Okay. And in a nutshell, what we're going to go through is having routines and consistency, right? Because if your child knows that every morning we're going to wake up, go to the bathroom, brush our teeth, put our clothes on, and they know what's coming, right? It's like they've got a routine and they know what's coming and they don't fight you. So I don't think a lot of students will basically, the kids that go to school, for example, or homeschool, I don't think a lot of your children will argue with you when you say to them, wake up and brush your teeth, because they're used to it, because you've put that routine in place. They might argue with you about eating breakfast, like my kids did for the whole couple of weeks, right? Because they're not used to it, because in Ramadan they were fasting and they've got out of the habit of eating something before school, right? But I'll still be there. Come on, eat a banana, have a bit of toast, right? Okay, but they don't want to because they've got out of the habit of doing that, right? This is fabulous. Annie's saying that she's in the process of starting homeschooling and discussing, and her son's really excited, and that's fantastic. He's told so many things that he wants to learn because he can't do them all in school, and that is absolutely awesome, because we're going to talk about that in a second as well, right? How can you teach your children without expensive resources? So a lot of people think, oh, we've got to have the same resources that they have at school. Well, at school, they don't have the ability to think on the trot, right? As a teacher, you have to pre-plan every single thing that you do, because there's not one child, there's 30 or 20, at least 25, between 20 and 30 kids, right? So if I start to go to a lesson as a teacher and I'm unprepared, I'm just going to end up with a riot on my hands. I've got to be 100% prepared to go into that lesson. And I'm not saying that you're not going to be prepared, you will be prepared, but we can do things like we can make resources and we can use anything in front of us to be a resource. Now, the funny thing was, yesterday I had a packet of crisp here and I was showing everyone how to use it. And now I've tidied up this morning, so there's nothing available that I could use. Okay, maybe my medicine. 1 second. So, okay, so this is something that, this is a medicine that was given just a couple of, last week because of my knee, right? Okay, and we have actually, what we've done is we've taken the boxes of the medicine and we've created our own in-home pharmacy. Okay, so this was role play. Okay, now yesterday, I'm going to be honest with you, the crisp packet was a lot easier. I'm trying to think on the spot here for what I could do with this, right? Okay, so with this one, we had lots of empty boxes, not full ones, don't worry. Okay, but you can use them and create your own pharmacy. You might want to do like empty packets of crisp and chocolates and things like that, or not chocolates, but like boxes, any tins that you have. Yeah, you could make your own shop at home and you could get your kids to do chores at home, and then they earn currency and then they can go and spend it at the shop, right? Okay, you can even have sweets and chocolates that they buy. Now, if I was using this as a homeschooling device, now clearly this is under parental supervision, right? Okay, you can see that the tablets are in twos. I don't know if you can see it actually. Okay, you can see that the tablets in here are in twos. So I could actually use this to teach them how to count in twos. I could group this into, cut them into twos, and then we could group them into fours. Okay, if I had different boxes of these with different size tablets, I could, by the way, I'm not recommending that you use medicine. I'm just saying that I've just found a random thing in my room and I can use it to homeschool my kids, right? Okay, if you had different sizes of these, you could talk about the size difference, sorting, putting them in order of size, putting them in different colors. Maybe you could create a rainbow with the different tablets. Can you just imagine that the possibilities are endless? One of the other things that you can do for maths as well is about the shape of the box that they're in. So you could just cut along some of these straight edges here and open it up, and you'd be able to show them the net of a cuboid, right? And then you could compare, okay, is that shape, is that a cuboid shape as well? Is that bottle a different one? My other one, just having a look at what else I've got in here. My other one is more of a cube shape, right? Okay, how's that the same and how's that different to the other one? Okay, like I said, these are just random things that I've got lying around in the room. They're not expensive resources, sisters, right? Okay, you can use anything. And what I want to do is I want to start showing you what we do. The other game that I shared yesterday that I play with Suleiman, because he's one of those kids that does have a lot of energy, and he might even come to me at 8 o'clock at night when I'm supposed to be putting him to sleep, and he's like running around because he's just feeling really hyper, right? Okay, and I need to like get rid of that energy like ASAP so that he can go to sleep. So might not be able to go outside because it's dark and all of that, and plus sometimes I might be teaching. So what I'll do is I'll have a pile of cushions, right? By the way, I might be teaching online while I'm doing this, and I'll have a pile of cushions and I'll be throwing the cushions at him. Okay, so now he can catch the cushions, which is kind of boring. So how we make it fun is that he picks up the cushion, I pick up the cushion, throw it, and he has to punch it out of the way. He might punch it, he might kick it, he might header it, right? Okay, and again, you know, it's not an expensive resource. I've got cushions lying around everywhere. Okay, this is one that my what's it called? My sister-in-law actually gave me these cushion covers. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to feel like it's expensive. We can do it cheaply without a big budget, right? Okay. But you do need some kind of budget. And if you do need a budget and you feel like, you know what, while I homeschool, I want to learn, I want to work as well, okay, you can also do that, and we'll show you, we'll talk about it. You don't need a huge house. A lot of people say, well, I need a room, I need a homeschooling room. You don't, because I'll be honest with you, like, I have a homeschooling space, but most of the time we're in the living room or we're in the on the dining table, right? In my old house, I didn't have a separate dining room, but I had a bigger kitchen. So we had like a table in the kitchen that we used. But in this house, we've got a separate room, which I don't really like, to be honest with you, but it's okay as long as it fits a table in, right? Okay. But the point is that it's there. We can do that. We can go outside. Most of our like fabulous lessons happen outside, and they're not planned, guys, right? They don't have to be planned. Okay. What if you're a single parent and you want to homeschool your children, right? So how can you do that when you're a single parent? Like we just mentioned, you can't really homeschool when you're single, because who's going to stay at home with the child, right? So you might have to work. You might be working online. So I know a lot of the mums that are in some of my Facebook groups that are in business, they're working online and they want to homeschool their children, right? And they can, and they're single parents and they're doing it. They can do it. It's not a problem. Yeah. But there might be some parents that are like, well, my skills don't allow me to work at home. Well, that's all right. You just got to get someone to help supervise your children. Okay. If your children are old enough, you might even be able to put cameras in your house and let the kids stay at home and just keep in touch with them via the cameras, right? I used to do that with Miriam, because I had the cameras already input the house for my other daughter who was younger with a nanny, right? So I used to watch her. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I never had time to watch them. But the thing is, they know that the cameras are there, so it's possible, right? You can homeschool even if you're a single parent. How can you teach your kids without your own space? So you might have lots of people living in the same house, right? How can you teach your children? So I'll show you how you can get like your own homeschooling cart that you can just keep inside your room, how we can divide your bedroom into zones so that you can just homeschool them within your own room if that's the only space that you have. Okay, but most of the time we'll show you how to homeschool out of the house in different spaces. For example, if you live in Dubai, they've got homeschool spaces now, haven't they? They've got different companies that are opening up. I'm trying to think of their names off the top of my head. One of them used to be called Witty Learning. It's now My Education Online. There's the Learning Tree, and there's the Discovery Learning, I think, Discovery Science, something like that. Okay, but they've got their own learning spaces. So you can go there, use their computers, use their resources. And if you're in the UK, they were called ICT centres back in the day, but I'll look into what they're called nowadays, and you'll see that they've got places that you can hire. And maybe, because Aini, we've talked about this before with you, because Aini's in the inner tribe as well, right? And she's, mashallah, sent me a flyer of the homeschool group that she's creating in her area, mashallah. So in their area, they could have all of the mums get together, and you might want to just chip in a little bit of money and hire a hall and do all of your learning together in a big space. You might want to chip in together and go on trips together, right? So you don't have to homeschool at home all the time. Okay, so first of all, when we're teaching you how to homeschool, we're going to think about why, right? So why do you want to homeschool? Okay, now I've obviously mentioned that I've had this amazing chance to slow down, to leave work and teach my own children my own way, but it wasn't always like that. I wasn't able to do that, right? And obviously, subhanallah, it's from Allah, right? People, I think, were really complaining about COVID, and I had to keep my mouth shut, because I actually didn't mind COVID, because it actually gave me the opportunity to teach my children at home. And I know that sounds stupid, because it's like, what do you mean you didn't mind COVID? I did mind the disease, clearly, but I didn't mind the fact that we were all working from home. That's the bit that I didn't mind. Obviously, I wasn't happy with the disease itself. I'm not going to be dumb here, okay? But we just talked just now about can you work as a single parent from home and homeschool, right? So I just want to share this little story with you, and I appreciate that you're listening really well. And it's been around 40 minutes of just me with my monologue, but we'll get to your questions soon. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat so that I can answer them. And if you do listen to the end, we do have a special offer for you today for those of you that are listening live, inshallah. Okay, so in 2019, I was on a family holiday. My husband and I had a huge argument, like one of those arguments where you're like, seriously, like, is it even worth staying with this guy? Because we are so on different pages here, right? 2019, before I was in coaching, before I did all of this healing work, okay? I was stressed out. I was working full time, and I was feeling guilty that I wasn't able to homeschool my daughter. My daughter was being bullied at school, and I kind of thought to myself, the solution is to homeschool her, right? That is the solution, because she's getting bullied. I need to homeschool her, but I couldn't homeschool her because I work, right? And I work in a very stressful full-time job, and I don't have time to homeschool her. Can you imagine working at school all day and then coming home and then teaching your kids? It's really hard. Why I can do it now is because, first of all, my kids are babysat at the school for a few hours a day. That allows me to do all my work. And then when they come back, I'm free to teach them. I love teaching them. I love spending time with them. But I'm not just teaching them. We're going out. We're doing little different things. We're hanging out in the garden. We're spending time together. Okay. And it doesn't mean that you only have to it doesn't mean that only the kids that are at home are homeschooled or home educated, right? You can still continue educating them even if your child is at school. This is so important to understand. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to have my own independence, and I thought the only way I can be independent is by continuing working. But the other half of me was like, but I want to homeschool my child. Yeah. Okay. So I was exhausted. I was stressed. I wanted to do both. And I knew that one of them's going to give up, but it couldn't be the work, because the work is, my independence. That's my independence. That's my lifeline. What if something happens? I've been taught all my life that I need to have my own independent income, right? Are you kidding me? I'm going to leave work? No way. My sister said to me, just leave work then. If you want to homeschool your child, leave work. I was like, no, I'm not going to be dependent on my husband. Are you kidding me? No, I'm going to leave all the earning to him. I'm not going to rely on him. No, right? But I was thinking to myself secretly, well, how am I going to get a job where I can work from home and spend time with my children and live my best life, but leave my steady income, right? Okay. But because she'd been bullied, I had to find something that was flexible. And I started to research, but I wasn't able to take that leap of homeschool. And that's why I keep saying to you, because of COVID, I actually, alhamdulillah, from Allah, I got this opportunity to stay at home and realize that actually I can do it, and I can teach from home. And one of the things that I first started with was teaching teachers how to teach from home, because I've been using apps since 2013, like such a long time. And that's why the kids in our lessons, they're used to using all the different apps. I don't necessarily teach like I'm doing right now with just a PowerPoint. We're doing questions and answers, and it's all interactive. And that's another thing that I can teach you guys when you come in to how to homeschool like a pro. Okay, so how are you going to do it? Obviously, we're going to talk about the curriculum you might want to use, where to get the resources from, how to create a schedule, and how to put routines into place. Now, we do have to have some kind of schedule in homeschooling, because there will be group sessions that you do. So when you do a group session, that's obviously scheduled and it's going to be at a certain time in a certain week and so on. But you can put your routines in place so that it works with your schedule. So for example, for us, if I knew, one of the questions that I had yesterday was, how do you teach different children with at different ages, the subject? So because I had this problem, mashallah, all of my kids are in all different year groups, imagine, yeah, okay, and they're all in different key stages, not even just different year groups. So I've got key stage 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, one kid in each, subhanallah. This is the only year, I think, that next year one of them's going to move to key stage 5, so there'll be like 1, 2, 3 and 2 and 5, right? Okay, but the point is that I had to figure out a way that I could teach all of them at once. So I would teach the same topic, but I would teach it to a different level for each child. And Hafsa was about 3.5 when I started homeschooling. And she was like, really, she wanted to get involved with what we were doing. And I had to figure out a way to keep her entertained while I taught Suleiman something that might have meant that he had to concentrate or something, right? Especially with something like maths or something like that. So what I realized was I needed to figure out a good way. And my first, biggest, top, excellent tip for you guys, and I will put the link in the description box later, is get a inflatable pool and fill it up with play balls, right? Now, it did cost me a little bit. Okay, it did cost me. Is that the same question about how to teach the same kids? Yeah, okay. Teach different ages of kids at the same time. It did cost me a little bit. I invested in it. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to say it was cheap or anything. But that thing was worth it, because whilst I was teaching, my child was entertained. And when I wasn't teaching, we could sit in the ball pit and learn her lessons. We could talk about colors, shapes, numbers. She used to put her blocks in there somewhere, and we used to find the blocks. She was throwing the balls, catching them. She was figuring out what was going on, right? Okay, what's gonna happen if she throws a ball at her brother, and so on, right? Okay, so many things that she could learn just from that ball pit. Okay, standing up, jumping in. And I realized this because when I used to take them to play centers before COVID, the fun part of the play center was the ball pit. And I remember this from when I was a kid. I'm going to let you know a little secret that you guys can actually still use if they still have them, but I don't think they do. So there used to be a carpet shop in the UK called Allied Carpets. Put your hand up if you remember that one. Okay, and there used to be like in these big kind of showrooms, and my mum and dad, and I think that's where I get my love of, houses and interiors and design, because my dad loves all of this stuff, right? My mum kind of likes it, but my dad loves it. So one of my dad's favorite pastimes was to go into these showrooms and have a look at how they've done their rooms, look at different carpets. We wouldn't even want to buy them, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes he would just go into the carpet showroom, sit down on a sofa, chat to my mum, and they had this ball pit play area, and we would just have the time of our lives. So he'd just be like, get in the car, come on, I'm taking you. And we would just go, and there was nobody else there. I don't think people knew about this, but it was like such a good hack that my dad had, right? And we would just go and play in that ball pit. So I remember from when I was a kid, the other thing that you could get is an indoor slide, depending on how old they are, that can get them to fall into the ball pit, slide into the ball pit, right? They'll be entertained for hours, honestly, like every day. I don't think there was a day where Hafsa was like, I don't want to go in the ball pit anymore, honestly. So you can do that. Obviously, they will get bored at sometimes. They'll get out, they'll do something else, but they won't be completely bored of it, right? And the other thing that she used to enjoy was when someone was having a break and they would come and join her in the ball pit. Yeah. A trampoline is another brilliant investment for us here, the problem with the trampoline was we did have it outside, but it gets super dusty, so you have to clean it every single day because it's outside. And there's loads of sand here, and the sun really affects it. So after a few months or 6 months of being outside, it looks really rough and worn out. And I used to buy a new pad, I think, every like 2 years, but that's really a good one as well. The trampoline is amazing. And the thing is that you can just think of these things. It's up to you how you're going to do this. Okay, so I'm sorry, I've just talked about that, gone off on one, but obviously when you're in the lessons with me, I'll talk more about different things that you can do, because there's not just that. We can do busy bags, we can do bubbles, we can do all sorts. Okay, the other thing that actually I am going to talk about, this one, is giving them chores to do, right? I think some of you who are on my Facebook, they saw Hafsa's picture in Ramadan, right? She'd actually moved all of my Ramadan decor from the just outside my living room. She's moved it all, and she's left her spray and her cloth there. And I'm going to bed and I'm like, oh my God, who left this? Who did this? I'm thinking about it, like, what was it? And then I realized what happened. So she wanted to write in her good deed tree, she wanted to write that I helped mum clean the windows. So she moved everything. She cleaned the windows, because we've got these indoor windows, I don't know what you call them, between I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, between the living room and the other room, right? And it's a window. So she actually cleaned that for me. But bless her, she didn't put anything away, but she went and wrote it on her good deed tree. So it was really cute, bless her, mashallah. Okay, so step 3, who is going to do it? Now, clearly you're thinking, well, I'm not a teacher, I'm not qualified, I don't know how to teach, right? So the beauty of homeschool is that you can teach and learn at the same time. So someone said this morning, I don't feel confident that I can teach my child myself. I don't feel like I can teach them because I don't have I think she said that I passed school with a few GCSEs and I don't think that I can teach them, right? Now, mashallah, if you're someone that's really well educated, like Dr. Aini over here with us today, you're not going to feel like that. But there are some people that might feel like I didn't do well at school. I don't know how to teach my children. So again, with homeschool, you're learning with the children, and they might ask you a question and you'll be like, I don't know, let's find out together, right? My kids used to have the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know why it's hard to say that word there. Okay, Guinness Book of World Records. They used to have that book, and they would just sit there for hours talking about it, talking about all the different people, and they would say to me, oh mum, this person, oh, the person who's got the longest nails, or they show me like disgusting pictures of like the biggest rat and things like that, right? So it's something that you can learn together with them. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything. Now, you might want to learn things like, how can I teach them fractions? How can I teach them how to add up? How can I teach them how to multiply, or how can I practice multiplication? Obviously, for these things, there'll be certain tips that I can share with you that are really useful. Like, I might share a resource with you. I might share where to get some really good workbooks from. By the way, White Rose Maths is amazing, and they've got some free books on Amazon Kindle. Okay, and Kindle features a lot with us as a homeschool family, because you can just download the books, and most of the time you can borrow books for free as well. And then when they're tired of them, you just return them and get a new set of books, right? Living in the Middle East, libraries were not that accessible to us. And if we did go to a library, they had like really old books, not that many books in English. Most of their books would be in Arabic, so you've got to look at seeing what's useful to you. Now, I've put here a difference between teachers and tutors, and the reason is because a teacher is qualified in what they're doing. So for example, if you get a teacher that is a reading teacher, she's qualified in teaching your child how to read, right? She's qualified in phonics and the beginning stages of reading. So she's going to follow a particular method of teaching your child. She's not just going to say, right, we're going to start with A. That's what I did when I was first homeschooling my girls. I was like, right, let's start with the letter A and then B. And then I started getting into it and reading all about it. And I realized that actually you teach them SAT first, because actually you can make words now from SAT, like at and sat, right? As, right? And then you can add PIN. And if you add those, you can make lots and lots of 3-letter words from just these 6 letters. And then that means you're already starting how to teach them. Yes, that's beautiful, mashallah, Aini. Yes, by searching with your kids, you do honestly learn a lot as well. So you can learn these methods, and obviously I'll teach you the methods that I use to teach my kids. And like I said to you, my son was learning learned how to read when he was 7, and he was reading above his age level by a few months later. Okay, your family can help you a lot, right? Okay, so look around who's in your family who can help teach your children something. The Kindle app is free to download. Yeah, it's free to download, and you've got to pay a monthly subscription for it, but it's like £8 a month or something. But right now there's an offer for 2 months free. I'll link it in the description box so you can get 2 months free and try it all out. You can also get audiobooks. They're a good way to keep the younger child occupied. An older child occupied while you're teaching the younger one. Yeah. So look around in your family who's available. So obviously in Annie's family, she's the doctor, so her family could use her expertise on different things. Maybe I should have asked you about how to use this medicine as a teaching resource. In my family, I had a lot of my family, mashallah, are teachers, to be honest with you. So it was easy for me to get help. But one of the stories that I want to share with you is Miriam wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to be a solicitor, and she was like, right, yes, I want to learn all about this. Oh, mom, I'm really interested. I'm taking English and I want to do English A level and so on. And I got her to talk to my cousin who's a solicitor, mashallah. And within like half an hour, my daughter was like, actually, I'm all right. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. Fantastic, right? Okay, imagine she'd like invested all that time, energy and effort into learning all the English literature, taking history, politics, whatever it was that she was going to do. And then she finds out after a week of her degree course, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore, right? Okay, work experience. Ask them, say, is there anything that you can teach my kids? Like I said to you earlier, my kids use the online apps that I use. I've created accounts for them on websites like we haven't used the Shopify one, but we've used Printful, and they've made their own t-shirts, right? Okay, and they've sold a few t-shirts as well. Like, it's something that you can do. Now, a tutor is someone who's not qualified, but they might still be good at their subject. But just remember that if you're doing something like GCSEs or IGCSEs or A levels, to get someone that is qualified, because they'll have a little bit extra information that some kids don't know about. So for example, last year I had a girl whose parents came to me about 2 weeks before the exam started and said, please, can you teach her IGCSE for physics, chemistry and biology? And I went, what? No, wait, not 2 weeks before the exam. Sorry, 2 weeks before the exams ended, right? And I was like, what do you mean? I can't teach a child from A to Z right now. And they were like, well, she was with a tutor and the tutor taught her GCSE, but her dad put her in for that IGCSE. Now, that kind of mistake should not happen with a teacher, because we know the difference between them, right? By the way, a lot of people think that IGCSE is easier than GCSE, but it's the opposite. IGCSE is much harder than GCSE. I say harder, not harder to do. It's the same level of difficulty, but there's a lot more content in it. But it's useful to do the IGCSE if you want to do A levels later on, because it means that you'll have covered way more content and you'll be able to access the A levels much more easily. But if you've only done the GCSE, there'll be a bigger gap between your knowledge and there'll be a bigger gap between your knowledge and the A-levels. Yeah, I'm going to share all of this, Aini, in the description box. I honestly haven't had time to put the whole blurb that I normally write in the description boxes. So don't worry, I'll do it, inshallah, soon. Okay, now you can always find experts. Now, we have noticed, as being parents of kids, that whenever our kids were in like the age of about 5 or 6, they always get a visit to the school by the dentist, right? The dentist comes and they all get a free toothbrush, and then they're like, come on, you've all got to brush your teeth. And you notice when you have a few kids, all right, they do this, yeah? Okay, and what you can do is look around for people that are in your community that are experts, right? We've got a lady in who runs Dedicated Parents in Sweden, and she is basically a dentist. That's what she used to work as. And she basically can come and talk to your group of children, maybe just your kids, maybe a bunch of children that you've got together. You can get online and have a discussion with a real life dentist, right? Okay, maybe ask them questions about their job. They can offer you tips on, dental hygiene and stuff, and encourage your kids to brush their teeth, for example. You could also get a visit to a fire station, visit the paramedics or an ambulance station, anything like that, where you've got an expert. You can even go to the library and say to the librarian, can you show us how the Dewey Decimal System works, right? Okay, so go out there and don't be afraid to ask them. So sometimes your children are curious and you kind of go to them, oh, it's okay, we'll do it later, right? For example, my daughter, we were in Oman on a holiday, and we'd driven up to this restaurant to meet a couple of friends, right? So we'd gone to the restaurant, we'd finished, and then we were walking back to the cars. And as we were walking back, Miriam went, Mum, what's that gate for? And I was talking to my friend, and I looked at it and I went, I don't know what that gate is for. And then I carried on walking. And then Nolene she stopped and she goes, let's have a look, Miriam. And this was like, Miriam was only like 3.5. So this is like my kind of introduction into homeschoolers and different kind of ways of teaching the kids, right? And she went, let's have a look. And she kind of like started looking. And then there was a lady, Omani, standing nearby with her husband. And they were both like kind of just near us, and they could hear what we were saying. And they said, do you want to know what's in that gate? And we were saying, yeah, like what is it? And they said, that is where the old people live. And they said, and we were like, the old people? And it was Eid, right? It was an Eid holiday that we were having that time. So they said, we've just visited our family for Eid. And then the guy said, hey, shall I take you back there? And we both looked at each other like, wait a second. And our husbands are like 15 miles in front, like clearly where they always are. So we had to call them both back. And then we started walking inside with them. So they took us inside. There was a watchman there. We went inside and you could see these houses that were it was like a small Omani village. And we were shocked because apart from the gate, you don't know that that's going to be behind it, right? And it was like a huge gate with like a smaller gate in the middle. So obviously we went through the small door gate, and then we went inside and we could see these houses, and they were like quite close together, just like if you imagine like a village from back home, like in Pakistan or India, Sri Lanka, right? These kind of countries, right? The small kind of villages. And we went in, and then they actually took us to their family's house, and we kind of stood outside, and they were like, come inside. To be honest with you, I was really scared. I was like, Zad, we've got our kids with us. We've got to be careful, man. You can't just walk into someone's house. But Nolene and Mark because they're like from the Western side of, not fearing. They were like walking in and they were like, oh yeah, let's have a cup of tea with you, sort of thing. So we kind of sat outside with them, but we were talking, and then the mothers couldn't speak English. Like there was like a mum and then a grandma, right? And they were like a young couple with young kids like us. And it was just really amazing, mashallah. Like, you just to get that like kind of experience which no one else would have. And I've always said, by the way, if ever you want to visit a country, Oman is the one. Okay, so when do you want to homeschool? Now there's only a few people left listening to me because they're like, stop waffling on. Okay, so when do you want to homeschool? You decide. Do you want to homeschool while the kids at school are on holiday? Right, that might be a good opportunity for you because all the places that are in can't remember what I'm thinking about now. Do you want to homeschool while the kids at school are at school, or do you want to homeschool while they're on holiday? So a few of my students that are homeschooled, they'll actually homeschool with the schooling times so that they're on holiday with their cousins, right? So that's an opportunity for you. You could actually take your kids on holiday during term time, which is a huge benefit because the prices are cheaper and you're like free to go and so on, right? You can, so homeschooling can be as flexible as you want. You might be like me, don't like early mornings, and you want to teach your kids towards the afternoon, and in the morning you want to have a lazy morning. You might be like my sister, who's a very morning person, and get all of your schooling done by 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure she doesn't, but like seriously, that's how I felt when I used to stay with her. Okay, so how to homeschool. So I will teach you how. I'll teach you from A to Z. We will go through everything that you need to know. I will go through your homeschooling method, your homeschooling skills, how to discipline your children, how to bring out the best in them, how to enjoy your homeschool journey. I've already got lessons uploaded in my portal on choosing your method and curriculum, how to plan your lessons, how to assess your child and figure out, are they actually learning what you want them to learn, the brain gym activities, the growth mindset and mindfulness, right? And if you sign up before the Friday, the 5th of May, you can use our coupon code live, which I'm going to pop into the chat right now, okay? Because you attended live and you came to our live today, you can use this and you can basically get a 33% discount on the payment, inshallah. And I'm just going to grab the link for you. Sorry, that's why I'm getting distracted again. Okay, I'm going to pop the link in here for you and you can log in and you can come and join me, right? And I'll go through a lot more things. I'll go through a lot more detail. Clearly, I can't tell you every single thing right now, okay? But I will be adding more sessions in, and as an additional bonus, I'm not just going to be doing the video lessons. It's not just the video lessons. So I'll actually be on a Zoom call with you and you can ask. So just like we do with the Inner Tribe and Supported. So anyone who's in Supported, they get one Zoom session a month. Inner Tribe get 2 a month. 4 a month. They get 1 every week. And you guys in the Homeschool Like a Pro course will get 2 Zoom sessions that you'll be able to implement all of the stuff that I'll be teaching you. So we're also going to give you access to the high performers revision course for GCSE or IGCSE. We're going to show you how to teach, show you how to choose your curriculum, especially if you've got older kids. I'll do another session maybe on about the different levels of IGCSE and GCSE and so on at another time. But if you've got older children and you want to learn how to help them to be successful, then inshallah, this is the best way. I am so sure that you're going to enjoy this course and grow as an educator with us. So I can give you a money back guarantee. right? So if you feel like it's not worth it and you didn't learn a lot and I wasted your time, which I know that I won't, but just in case you do, okay, you can get a full refund. Okay, now the normal price for this is going to be £97 per month, and it's a 12-month course. Okay, but as a special bonus, I'm only going to charge you for 10 months, but we're going to be learning for 12 months. So all of the videos are going to be available to you. Now, some of you might say, well, can I just have access to the videos for lifetime? Well, the thing is, you can have access to the videos, right? And if I give you lifetime access to the videos, you're not going to make that difference. You're not going to do anything with them because they're just going to be available for you all the time. So the easiest way to help you and to make you accountable and to start pushing you towards doing the work is by limiting the time that you have with those videos. Okay, and then you can have those videos 24/7 for the entire year. Okay, and maybe after, if you really need them, I might give you access to them, but mainly during that year you're going to make such huge progress and huge bounds and leaps in your teaching and learning with your children, inshallah, that you're going to be like, wow, where was this course when I needed it? Okay, the final bonus that I'm going to give you is access to our brand new course for homeschooled students. So everyone else is going to have to pay a separate fee to access that, but you guys get to access it because it's going to be something that I would like you guys to test out with your children and give us some feedback with it and let us know how it goes. You basically get a page on a website every week that will basically give you what you need to teach them for that week. So if you'll have a separate one for year 1, year 2, year 3. You just click it, you go to the website, and it will tell you, okay, teach them this week. So this is the objectives for maths. This is what we're going to go through, and it goes with the British curriculum at the moment, which is very similar to the American, to the Australian. It might just be in a different order. It might be focused on different aspects, and you might have to change the vocabulary a little bit, but most of it is going to be the same. At some point, inshallah, once we get lots of people on board, I will do a separate version for the Australian and the American and the Scottish curriculum, but at the moment it's all in the British curriculum. But honestly, even if you are from those countries, you can start using it up to the age of 11. Pretty much everyone is taught the same thing. Even if you learn physics, it's not going to be different in different countries, is it? It just might be a different way or a method of teaching, but the actual subject does not change. Okay, so these are the extra bonuses. So what did I say to you? You're going to get 12 months for the price of 10. You're going to get the video content, which at the moment is 7 videos, plus you're going to get another 12 because you get another 12 one every month, inshallah. And yeah, I just was going to say that, Aini, no problem, right? So 12 months for the price of 10. You are going to get the video courses that are already uploaded that you can start watching today. Actually, not today, because I've access starts on Sunday, inshallah. But the stuff is there right now. Okay, you've got 7 videos on there for the choosing the method and the curriculum, how to plan your lessons, how to assess your child, what do you need to homeschool really well, brain gym activities, the growth mindset, mindfulness. You also get a free homeschooling planner and a free guide for preschoolers to start homeschooling them. So literally like 9 things are already there, right? Okay, and then each month we'll upload another video, and then every 2 weeks you'll get a meeting with me where you can come to me and say, right, I'm trying to teach him fractions, but I don't, I'm having trouble with this. Can you give me some ideas on teaching fractions? And I can literally take you by the hand and show you, right, okay, this is what we do, this is how we divide it, this is how you can do it. Like simple things like when you're eating pizza, then make sure that they know how many pieces of pizza there are and how many slices it was cut into and how many slices is for each person, right? It's pizza. It's something that you do probably, hopefully, hopefully. I'm sure you do this at least once a month, if not more often, right? Okay, so you can use things that are around your house to teach them, and I'll be there to basically hold you accountable and help you teach, right? So I'll make sure that you're doing it. I'll be coaching you. I'm not just going to leave you and say, here's the videos, go ahead and do it. I'm actually going to be with you doing this together. Okay. And you're also going to get access. So I know that there's some people that have got younger kids and some people that have got older kids. So if you've got an older child, then you're going to get the entire revision course for high performers at GCSE. Okay. And each time I renew that, you'll get like more videos, because what I do is I kind of improve it every year. So this is the third version of it, so you're going to get the new version. So if I upload new versions, you'll get new versions as well. So I'm really looking forward to having you all on the course. I really hope and pray that you'll make that decision and invest in your family and in your homeschooling journey. Now, like I said to you, I know that some people are really worried about the budget. So I've even got a new video coming up on how to earn money while you're working, while you're at home and homeschooling. Yeah, because obviously I've been online for a while now and I'm earning money, and you can see how to do it. And I've got a whole little video for you to watch. And then again, in the Zoom seminars, you can always ask me questions. Okay, I'll also have a separate course on that for mums that want to earn money, but that's a separate thing. On today, we're talking about the Homeschool Like a Pro. So inshallah, I hope to see all of you there. As you can see, the coupon code is live. It's available for you until the end of tomorrow. Okay, so I know some people are going to watch the replay and say to me, but it's not fair, I didn't get the live code. So I'm just going to leave it open until tomorrow. But tomorrow, the live option is going to disappear, and you're only going to have to pay full price to join us. And it's going to be from when you start this 9th of May until the next May. That's absolutely true. And we're going to open it now, and I might open it in the summer, but hopefully, inshallah, we're just going to open it now and keep this group going for the entire year, because as long as 4 of you join, that's it, we're done. Yeah, and we've already got, mashallah, 2 of you ready. Okay, so look forward to having all of you on with us, and I look forward to seeing you, inshallah. If you have any questions, even if you don't want to join me, no problem at all. That's absolutely fine. You can join us on our WhatsApp group, our free WhatsApp group called YourParentingTribe. So I'm just going to add the group link in the chat as well, so that you can join us in YourParentingTribe. And inshallah, see you soon. All right, thank you so much for listening. If you want to see this webinar again with my glasses on and nighttime, that was done yesterday. I pretty much did the same webinar. It's not going to be different, but I did it live twice because I wanted to be able to answer your questions as you're here. So if you do have any questions and you want to ask me anything right now, please do. I have tried to answer some during the video, but if you have any more questions, you've got an opportunity now to ask me, and if not, I'll say my salams and jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, sisters. Assalamu alaikum.